मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य मआणीस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures shine forth in my life. May what I learn from them never ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our true, divine, immortal, ever pure and perfect nature in our heart as a steadily burning candle flame. Let us concentrate on that. As I concentrate, the light from the candle flame is becoming brighter and brighter, bigger and bigger. My whole being is filled with this very intense, luminous existence. I see I am light. I see the same light pervading the whole universe. All apparent distinctions are dissolved in this infinite ocean of luminosity. There is no time or space. There is no I or you. I see all as a homogeneous, one without second, luminous existence. I am that. Om, peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, as you know, we have been studying the nature of Sri Ramakrishna as Guru. It is Leela as Guru. Leela means play. That is why the biography has been titled by the author Swami Saradananda as Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga, Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. It is a play. Sri Ramakrishna is the human manifestation of the all-pervading divine, and he takes up various roles. And the role that we are studying here is his teachership. It is how he brings the illumination to all of us, just like a light put on then brings illumination to us. So Sri Ramakrishna's life is that kind of light. And his teachership is also of that type. Not that he is just thinking that let me teach people. No. Okay, but let us begin with the prayers in the beginning, opening prayers. Let us chant this. Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashvapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadattatam Bhuvi Grananti Te Bhurida Jana. His teachership was spontaneous. And not that he would say, come on, sit and I will teach. he did not organize any spiritual classes or lectures. But people, those who came to him, came in contact with him, would get their inner divinity awakened spontaneously. That is, in each soul, everybody has that divine spark, and in company of some holy person, it gets awakened. That is the greatness of holy company. That it is like there is fire in the wood, but as such, if the wood is kept outside, you don't see it catching fire. But if there is some spark, if there is some burning thing like a matchstick, and then the whole lot kind of catches fire. So each of us has that innate divinity. God is within us. And we have to remind that to ourselves. He is our true nature. As Lord Krishna declares in Bhagavad Gita, a very unambiguous, clear statement, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarva Bhutashaya Sthitah. I am this self or this soul in every single being. Nobody is exempt. Even the tiniest creature that you may think of, or any gigantic one, every single being, every existence, whether it is animate or inanimate, does not matter. Everywhere, sarva bhutashaya sthitah. In every being, animate or inanimate, there is that divine, and that divine is to manifest. That is the goal. That makes us our life filled with that bliss that we are seeking. So, it is how to do that. It is described in Upanishads that just as there is oil in oil seeds, like in peanuts, there is oil in sesame seeds, there is oil, but that need to be crushed so that the oil comes out. So, there is fire in the fuel that needs to be brought out. All these things are subject to association with somebody who brings it out. So, in the company of Sri Ramakrishna, that would automatically happen. We saw in last some classes the story of Jatadhari, who was a worshipper of God in the form of child Rama. Rama in the form of Ram Lala, a child, and he carried the what we would think as the image made of metals, 8 metals, Ashtadhatu, 8 metals were used in making it. So he was worshipping that. But for him, that was not a metal image, that was a living little Rama. And that is how the awareness changes. Not that what he is seeing or what Sri Ramakrishna also saw there is wrong just because I and you are not able to see it. Our vision is very limited and partial, friends. It is Sri Ramakrishna could see that living Rama there. The devotion transforms the vision, the perception gets transformed. One may argue, we saw all those arguments, that how can it be? Well, why can it not be? It is our experience depends on how our sense organs and mind is trained to perceive. But that doesn't limit the actuality of that presence. When our perception capabilities are enhanced, we start seeing naturally many more things. Like with our open eyes, we don't see if there is some say problem inside, if there is a bone cracked, then we don't see it by our naked eyes. So we are told to get an X-ray. And then with the X-ray, X-ray does not create the crack. It only shows us the existing crack. Now, our vision, our understanding is not capable of seeing it without that X-ray. So, there are so many possibilities. This giving the example of X-ray is just to show that as such our understanding is very, very limited. And when a person through the devotion transforms the understanding, also removes all the impurities, then that person can see the life in everything. It is so, there is life in everything. It is our insensitivity that makes us not see it. And the psychological reason for that is our subject-object kind of awareness. That awareness or consciousness that we have all the time is, this is subject and the world is object. And when something is seen as object, already a lot of life in it is lost. Like a chicken may be alive, but those who eat chicken, when they see it only as food. There is a funny scene in Charlie Chaplin's that Gold Rush movie, that in that mountains, no food, everything, then this Charlie Chaplin and somebody else, kind of a big strong fellow, was somehow were pulling on days. Now no food was left. And then this big man looks at Charlie Chaplin, and it is shown very artistically presented. The Charlie Chaplin is kind of, in the eyes of that man, gets converted into chicken. And he starts to catch it, and this fellow runs. He is now a human being, but because of this awareness, I am this subject and this world is for my enjoyment, it gets reduced to a lifeless entity. When that awareness goes away, then every single tiny thing is seen as living. In fact, this is by the research in physics and the philosophical conclusions from that by one great quantum scientist of last century, Niels Bohr. So he said the behavior of electron shows that even electron is living and it has its will. Where it also gets confused like living beings. Do we not get confused, Sarah? Yeah, at times we also, and that is sign of life. that is sign of life getting confused. So an electron also seems to get confused whether to go through this slit or that slit. That is a very famous experiment in the quantum physics done at actually, and also it is used as a thought experiment tool, that it seems to pass through both to the slits and yet through no slit. So it is, thus it also seems to have life. Everything has life. There is nothing that is devoid of life. So this metal image was seen by that sadhu Jatadhari as his ideal. It is little child Rama, and he could see the little child Rama eating and then running about, and sometimes like children becoming very stubborn, and then all that. So Jatadhari would sometimes scold him. Same thing happened with Sri Ramakrishna when he saw that, and then he would follow Sri Ramakrishna wherever Sri Ramakrishna goes, and then that Jatadhari Babaji saw that little Ramlala, that child loves Sri Ramakrishna more than he loves him. He felt very sad. Oh, I raised him. He's my ideal. I feed him and so forth. Although God, the awareness is like that. It is a double awareness that God feeds us, God protects us, isn't it? God protects us, God feeds us. But in the human this play, the man thinks that I am feeding this God. That is why while doing worship, we offer food to God. And God eat it, as if we are giving food to God to eat. It is that there are all the stories, like the mother Yashoda would feed Krishna. The feeder of the whole universe is being fed by this woman. Because for that woman, Krishna is God, but also my son. I have to take care of him. I have to feed him. And there is no contradiction in it. Because of love, because of that loving devotional connection, it all happens. So, the long and short of it is that thus Ramlala remained with Sri Ramakrishna. This Jatadhari Babaji, he continued on his pilgrimage to some other place. So, and then it is told here that not only this Babaji, there were many of this Ramayat Panthi, means those who are followers of God in the form of Rama. They had come to Dakshineshwar now and then, and Sri Ramakrishna told stories of some of them as well here to the author. So, author narrates that the master told us on a different occasion, and this is page 580 of this book. The master told us, on a different occasion, another Ramayat monk came. This man had overwhelming faith in God's name. He carried nothing with him but a water pot and a book. The book was his treasure. Every day he would worship it with flowers, and from time to time would open it carefully. After I got to know him, I begged him to let me have a look at it. But when I opened the book, in other description of this same incident, it is mentioned that he wouldn't give that book to anybody to see. But because of Sri Ramakrishna's character, his entreating request, this monk relented and said, okay, see. So, I begged him to let me have a look at it, but when I opened the book, I found that on every page the same two words were written in bold red letters, Om Rama. He said to me, what is the use of reading many books? God is the origin of the Vedas, the Puranas and other scriptures, and there is no difference between Him and His name. Therefore, whatever is written in the 4 Vedas, 18 Puranas and other scriptures is contained in His name alone. So I am satisfied with that. That monk had such faith in God's name. God's name has all the power of God. God and God's name, they are identical. In our devotional scriptures, it is again and again mentioned, Nam Nami Abhed, that the name and the one whose name it is, there is no difference. If you have the name, you get that person. In fact, a great sage Tulsidas goes to the extent that I actually value name more than God. God's name is more powerful than God also. Of course, one must see the that figure of speech there. It need not be taken too literally, but the power of name, he says, is great. Because if you have the name, by the name you can drag the person. But the other way around is not possible. So, for example, if I say Paul, then Paul, oh, yes, Swami, he would look at me and say, yes. By the name Paul, I can say, Paul, please come here, then Paul will come. But even if I see someone and if I don't know the name, just by holding on to the person, I will not know the name. So the person will not be able to get the name. By holding the person, you cannot get the name. But by having the name, you can get the person too. So therefore Tulsidas says, I value name much more. So it is, and this is in the all Vedanta teachings, a very important teaching, name. In the Kena Upanishad, one of the most philosophical and short Upanishads, it is the search of the self. That is how the Upanishad begins. And then the actual, at the end of the Upanishad, actual practice has been prescribed at what a beginner should take up. Then it is told, Nama, name, Tasya Vanam Nama. It is that the name has been given. So hold on to the name, hold on to the name, practice, practice, practice. That is the spiritual practice given especially in Hinduism, but if you look at the other religions as well, you will find this, that the chanting of the holy name or the mantra. Mantra is basically the name of God with some important prefix and so forth. So, or the word conveying salutation. So, that is the mantra. So, it is by repeating it, what happens? The form becomes alive. The person becomes alive in you. You meditate then on the form, from the form. It is a nice, very practical sequence. If somebody wants to see God, okay. And most people will just summarily dismiss the whole idea. There is no God, then how can I see it? So for them there isn't much hope of seeing God. But yes, if somebody really wants to see God, then they say, okay, yes, God is in and through everything. Being all-pervading, naturally you cannot see it by these eyes as such. But that God being in everything chooses a form, and the form brings a name too, a holy form that would bring you this awareness of God, because saints see God. So if you hold on to a saint, then you have an idea that you can see God through that. Like if somebody knows how to go to a place, I was asking somebody that those were not the days of Google Map and all that GPS. So I wanted to go somewhere, and then I asked somebody that I was in the car, how to go there. And that kind-hearted lady said, oh, I am going in that direction, come on, follow me. And then I followed and thus got to the place. She said, oh yes, that is, I was going to a car garage that somebody told will be good. So I followed it and then got there. So exactly, the saints, they experience the God. That is the idea of saints in Hindus. In Upanishads you get this idea that the one who sees the Brahman everywhere, that person is saint, not somebody who performs some miracles. No, this is seeing God everywhere, that is seeing the truth everywhere. That is what makes somebody a saint. So, if I hold on to a saintly person, I am actually holding on to the awareness of God. And that is, and thus I reach there. So, some form and some name. Although God is beyond all forms, some form is to be held on to, because that is our compulsion. We see things only in name and form. So, it being our compulsion, let us, since anyway it is our compulsion, let us make best use of it for our development. That okay, instead of running after some other forms and names, something that conveys the divine to me, let me take that form and that corresponding name. So, the Guru gives that form and name, and thus this person keeps on practicing it. There is this story of this a robber who used to kill people and snatch all their wealth. He became a saint, Valmiki. How the transformation took place? He would kill everyone. He met a sage Narada and wanted to kill and rob him as well. But Narada showed that, well, all this sin, that will also you will come with you. You will have to take that, all that results of that sin. And then he convinced him Well, this robber thought that all my family members who are living on the wealth that I earn will also share my sin. He said, okay, ask them if they are ready to share in your sin also. And then his wife said, no, absolutely not. What do I have to do of all those heinous acts you do? I didn't know that. And his parents said, no, no, of course not. And then said, okay, tell me now, what should I be doing? Narada said, okay, repeat the name of God. But he was in such a state that the name of God, Rama, wouldn't come to him. He was adept at killing. So Narada, that is how the teachers in this realm are great psychologists. So this Narada gave him this name of Rama in a different way. Said, okay, you are adept at killing, so say Mara. Mara means kill. It has the connotation of killing. So, Mara, keep on repeating Mara. Now Mara, 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 Mara became Ram, 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 Ram. So, in effect, he was getting purified with this. And how long it took? Many, many, many decades. Not that you started repeating it now and then by tomorrow you will have all the purpose of it accomplished, you will see God everywhere. Not that simple. It is described that this robber, he sat with the name for such a long time without moving from the place that the ants, they built an anthill around him, thinking that he is just a log of wood. So that is why his name became Valmiki. Valmik means an anthill. So he was in that anthill. So that is how by repetition of the name you get the truth. So this saintly person, this sadhu, Ramayat sadhu, told Sri Ramakrishna, what else is there in the world? It is the name of God. God and God's all power is in His name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told that realizing God is actually made so easy by God Himself. God Himself made it so easy. How to do it? Nam namakari bahudha nija sarva shakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that God has put all His power, all His presence in name. It is all what in present days popular terminology you can call it as microprocessed. The whole divine existence is microprocessed and put in just one name. And thus, now if you have the name, you have God. So, and he says God has made it so simple that you can keep on repeating it and thinking of it all the time. Very simple. Whatever you are doing, let the name get constantly going on. And thus you come to that God through this. So what else is in the world? What is the point in reading thousands of scriptures? And this is God is the essence of all these scriptures. So hold on to that. So that was the conviction of this sadhu, this mendicant. And then one may ask, well, then why are we studying all these things? Let us forget it. Yes, if you are going to keep on constantly repeating the name, why then are we have to study all the scriptures? We don't have that kind of tremendous faith and tenacity to keep on holding the name all the time. It is many times the teachers, they tell, okay, repeat it 100 times, 108 times in the morning and evening. Repeat it 108 times only. Now that also becomes difficult, isn't it? No? Or just 1 dozen time, it is all silly, you see. That is, we don't have that kind of tenacity, that purity and that kind of faith. Therefore, we need all those other scriptures to study, to reinforce that purity and faith in us. So, if we have that faith, nothing is required. Vedanta tells that that how do you realize God? Brihadaranyaka Upanishad tells the means that Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, that keep on hearing about it, keep on thinking about it, and make it intensely your sole business in life. Now, it is said that by some school of Vedanta, and which has some validity, it says that actually only hearing the name is enough. The other two is because we are not that pure-minded, so we have to keep on doing it. If the mind is pure, just by hearing the truth manifests. There are the examples, like I suppose a person is having his reading glasses put on the forehead. It happens, I also sometimes I use, and then it is difficult to do other business with those on the eyes, so I push it forward here on the forehead. And then forget all about it, where it is. This recently happened, not about the specs, but about the face mask. I wanted to go somewhere, and then I actually put the face mask. And then, but I didn't remember that I have put. And then I kept on looking for face mask. Where is my face mask? Come on, somebody was going to go with me. I said, yes, I am coming, but I am not finding my face mask. And that fellow said, on your face. It is on your face. Now, did I need to do anything else? Just hearing this word, got it. So if the mind is pure, then everything is God. Correct. Oh, I don't need to look here and there. God is everywhere, pervading everything. You see it. So, if not, okay, spend time in searching. It is, and then at some fine morning, the mind becomes pure, and you will see it. So that is how through faith, this man had the faith. Yes, Rama's name is everything, that's it. Nothing more is needed. So, the master told us, there are some of those songs here, 2 songs, 2 bhajans, on devotionally getting connected to that deity is called bhajan. So, and then through songs it becomes easier to do it, and so therefore songs also get called bhajan. So, one of them is, O mind, you have not recognized my Rama. What then have you recognized? The idea is, what else is there to recognize? All is Rama. Then if you don't have not recognized Rama, then what did you recognize? Nothing. I remember a story that from my childhood that I had told earlier here, that I wasn't very good at doing homework, would avoid it, keep on playing and all that. So, and then my dad sometimes would ask, seeing me, he would get doubt, have I did my homework? And he would ask, hey, have you finished your school homework? And I would say, almost done. Now only some dictation and some arithmetic is remaining, all else is done. So he was happy about it. The child has done mostly everything. Then he saw that this brat is cheating. Almost everything is done except that dictation and arithmetic. He found out that was the only homework given, you see. Dictation and arithmetic, nothing else. So I practically didn't do anything. So that is how, if you do not know Rama, then what have you known? Nothing else is to be known in the world. All other knowledge is, as the Upanishads say very beautifully, that they are varieties of ignorance. We call them knowledge, but that is only ignorance that passes for knowledge. It is therefore that kind of knowledge keeps on changing all the time. That is the knowledge, that is science. That is why science, how is it? They call it is empirical. A nice word to say that it is constantly changing, constantly evolving. So there is no conclusive knowledge in science. It is only maybe this is true, maybe that is true. It is science. Therefore, we had a very nice seminar here, and one scientist from Brown University, he was chemistry chair, and he said, well, people speak about science has proved this. The science actually is not capable of proving anything. Science can disprove but cannot prove. So, what else is to be known? Science can disprove, but how can it prove anything? Because the proof has been based on the facts that have been discovered so far. Is there a guarantee that in future some other fact will not be known, which will disprove what has been proved? And actually, if you read the history of science, you will see plenty of such examples. So therefore, it is said, what else is to be known? No Rama, no Lord. If you have not known Lord, then what have you known? What have you known? He is a sadhu who tastes the bliss of Rama's name. But what is he who tastes pleasures of the senses? We run after pleasures of the senses. We keep on piling misery and frustration by doing that. On that day before yesterday's lecture, we saw that it is the pain that we get, we somehow call it pleasure. It is not happiness at all. But we go for that. I will become so happy. No, let me eat the candy. Then Yona eats the candy. It tastes a bit sweet or a little pleasant while it goes from here down to the throat. After that, no taste it is, and thus remaining is the hard work, the problems that come because of eating too much candy, they persist. So, that is how all the sense pleasures are exactly of that nature. It is yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate, a great statement in Bhagavad Gita, that all those so-called enjoyments because of the touch between the sense organ and its object. What is it? Dukkha yonaya evate. They are the causes of all the sufferings that we get in life. So, that is why, what have you known if you have not got the bliss of the name of Lord and sense of enjoyment? Wasting, got more and more pain. Pain is bad. But pain in the name of pleasure is worse. You are forced to call it pleasure. We say, let us enjoy. Although you are going to get more pain, but you label it as enjoyment. It is. So this is what is mentioned here, that he who delivers his dynasty from Maya is a true son. What good are other sons? It is the name of Rama, is that Rama was born in the dynasty, and then because of his birth, the whole dynasty became purified and got illumined. It is said that if a son practices spiritual discipline and is illumined, then it is said, what happens with that? That whole clan becomes purified. Kulam pavitram jadani kritartha. That the mother of such a son becomes fulfilled. Yes, giving birth to such a son is great. A person that is coming from my womb, that boy or girl has attained the liberation, and by connection I also get liberated. So this is how. What are the other sons? Continuing the bondage more and more. So that is a different thing, another song. So this is Sing the glory of Ramachandra, Lord Sita, chief of the Raghus and prince of Ayodhya. There is no one else like him. Sweet are his smile and words, sweet his playful step. Beautiful are his face and large eyes. Beautiful his nose, his arched eyebrows, the mark on his forehead. This is a very well-known song of Tulsidas. His forehead adorned with saffron shines like the morning sun, and dazzling earrings and so forth. A very nice description. And then the last line is, the hero of Raghu dynasty is walking with his friends on the banks of Sarju river. Tulsidas looks at him with great joy and craves the dust of his feet. So that is how through all these words you try to get connected to God somehow or other, and then the God flows in your life. Like when we build a house, then we need to get power supply. So you find where the power line is going near your house, and then from there you connect your house to that power supply line. So you have to connect. As soon as that is connected, then the power starts coming in your home. If you don't connect, then you won't. So if we connect our lives to God some way or other, that divine energy will keep on flowing in us, making our whole life full of bliss, friends. Please believe, Please accept, try and see. If you try and see that I am not telling right, well, I will be your slave, do whatever you want. But this is the truth, friends. Connect to God, and that fills the life with intense, unspeakable bliss. So, these are the things told here. Master used to sing these two songs, but unfortunately we have forgotten the rest of the lines. So anyway, that some more songs are given here, but only some first line or like that. No one but Rama can save me. Yes. The God alone can save. That is the meaning of Savior. Hold on to Lord. Otherwise, holding on to body, everybody dies, you see. So, if we holding on to God, we become disidentified with body. And so we become immortal. So, we shall continue with the reading next Tuesday. So, we shall meditate for 30 seconds, and then if you have any questions, you can ask. Yes, please. Any question, Prithvish? No question. Any question here? Okay. Yes, Mahesh. No, they are not same. They are two completely different persons. Totapuri was not a person practicing that type of spiritual practice. Totapuri just meditate on all-pervading Brahman. So that is how he taught Sri Ramakrishna. Very good. So let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.